Welcome back. Today I want to talk about healing ourselves in regards to unhealthy or toxic relationships. This has been a reoccurring subject that I've been dealing with for the past 3 weeks in my relationship counseling and readings. And so we're going to begin with some hard truths, but we're going to end with some good news. So first of all, what is a toxic or unhealthy relationship? So a toxic relationship is one in which one or both partners feel trapped, controlled, and or drained by the other. There are certain themes like codependency, narcissistic tendencies, which are common. Any toxic relationship implies that there's something potentially damaging for the person or for both people in that relationship. These relationships can leave you doubting your own reality, your own value, and your sense of self-worth. And it's time to address them. When we're in unhealthy or toxic relationships, sometimes we go to battle with the truth. It becomes like a personal battle, but it's very much a Don Quixote kind of battle at the imaginary windmills. See, because we believe that we can persevere within the constraints of this relationship and force it to work by sheer will. Even when the other person has no interest in putting in the kind of energy toward their own healing, we think if we can put up with enough, if we can love them enough, we can heal them, we can show them. Again, the problem with that is whatever damaged them has nothing to do with you. You can't reach into the past of someone else and redo their experience and the coping mechanisms they developed to respond to those experiences. Yes, you can shine your light on them so that when they're with you, they want to be better. But as soon as they're not basking in your light, they resort to who they are, with their issues no further resolved. And in this way, their light does not increase because their light depends on yours. And this becomes a codependent, unequal relationships. You may feel as if you're helping them in your quest to fix this other person. And the moments when you're in company with each other, you feel a sense of fulfillment in what you've learned to call happiness. When the dopamine gets triggered in your brain. But all the other moments when you're not together are spent within a cycle of them stepping over boundaries and trying to cover it up, and you worrying, not trusting, and waiting for the other shoe to drop. And when the other shoe drops, you determine that this is the last time. If you've said those words, this is the last time, so often that all you feel now is defeated and shamed that you can't break this unhealthy attachment, then this video is for you. So you draw boundaries and you allow people to step over them with disrespectful behavior. You are teaching people how to treat you, that they can disrespect you with no consequences other than the initial period of your anger. Emotional abusers report that they know what they are doing breaks our trust. They know they have a good thing, but nothing is holding them accountable to living up to those high expectations. They have no healthy boundaries within themselves to anchor them. With many of them, instant gratifications are coping mechanisms. And for far too many abusers, One of their coping mechanisms is blaming you for their unacceptable behavior, leaving you feeling gaslit, numb, and helpless. So your relationship becomes one with the core value of shame. Them feeling shame for their behavior, they know it's not acceptable, and you feeling shame for your inability to end the cycle and the relationship. So how do we end these abusive cycles? Well, first we need to understand a little bit about the workings of the brain. The brain resists change. It's a reflex. And you know it's true whenever something comes up out of the blue and requires you to address it and change something, reflexively you feel pushback. And during these episodes where there's a breakup with your partner because of another thing that they have done that you've been waiting for them to do, the same reward center is stimulated. In other words, you will experience cravings for your ex similar to a person going through withdrawal. The brain and the body are needing that dopamine boost that we get each time we go through an awful incident and then get back together. But that dopamine is only a boost. And you are well aware that as soon as that wears off, you sink back into these old unhealthy patterns that are not healed. So this can make the whole process of leaving even more complicated, causing you to question whether or not you made the right decision. Is this the right thing to do? It's important here that you remember and reflect on why. That is why you left and why you're not going back. So taking action and then remaining firm in that action. The people that hurt us, they have to begin at some point in their lives to understand that their actions have consequences. And to this point, we have given them none. And then we have fear. We have fear of taking action in regard to what we already know we need to do. Trying to uncover some psychological motives for our desire to stay in the relationship will simply allow more time to stall. Instead of acting to improve our situations, we get ourselves mired even further down deep into them. So what will happen if we leave this relationship? Well, first we'll try to talk ourselves into believing that it wasn't that bad, that we are overreacting. We may have fear or shame that people will think we've allowed ourselves to be treated badly. If our partners have put us down and blamed us, we may have taken on those beliefs about ourselves. And love, the word love, we may be confusing the intention of love with attachment. We may feel like, well, I love this person. I don't want to leave the relationship. I just want the bad times to stop. These are all normal things to think when the opportunity comes around for us to step out of the vicious cycle that we find ourselves in. And, we may wonder if we're even in, a toxic relationship or abusive relationship. Is this really that bad? So it's bad when you're constantly sacrificing your own needs. Toxic relationships often result in self-abandonment when you feel you have to forfeit your voice, your opinion, your wishes, and your needs. If you're feeling erased or invisible, you don't feel accepted for who you are. You may feel like an outsider or shunned or judged by your reactions to your toxic partner's behavior. You may find yourself doing things you never thought you would, even doubting yourself and your values. You may feel lonely because the true sense of intimacy, trust, and emotional safety aren't there. You may feel inequality. You know you're doing all the emotional heavy lifting. You're doing all of the sleepless nights of drama. And you know that you're doing all of the forgiving. You know, if you bring out the worst in each other, you know that it's not working. Healthy relationships bring out the best in both partners, even when there's conflict. Two people committed to working through their problems together, they can come to resolution. But toxic relationships are two people with resentment against each other, living in the present with every unhealed bad thing that has ever happened to them, between them. They replay these events to each other whenever someone bumps near an unhealed wound of the other. When jealousy is a frequent issue, jealousy and control. Toxic relationships often stem from insecurity or need to control certain situations. Or one person actually intentionally causing the partner to constantly feel off balance and jealous. You may find yourself in unhealthy enmeshments where you manipulate each other into needing each other, and you isolate others away from your relationship. This enmeshment can sometimes feel like closeness and bonding, when in reality it stems from unhealthy codependence. And it's cyclical. If you're in a toxic relationship that's been going on for a while, you're noticing patterns emerge. Things never go smoothly for long, and you aren't surprised when drama rears its head, yet for some reason you just can't walk away. Yet. So you may be developing anxiety and depression, stress, when you face criticism, resentment, and judgment for having to really be on your toes because you're walking on eggshells, watching and waiting for the next thing to throw your relationship into a tailspin. You begin to develop a kind of low-grade anxiety, and you're constantly in fight or flight. It can also weaken and irritate your immune system. It can cause your self-esteem to suffer. It can cause you sleeping problems. Because we know that nothing ruins a good night's sleep like stress, and toxic relationships can definitely keep you up at night. Or the opposite. They can cause you to go into patterns where all you do is sleep. Toxic relationships often trigger old wounds from early traumas, early memories of abandonment or abuse, being made to feel you're inadequate or unlovable, or just leaving you feeling deprived of emotional nurturing. When you're in a toxic relationship, you're in a relationship that can often feel familiar to something you've known, though you might not realize it in the beginning. So it's important to actually know what a healthy relationship looks like. We have to, at some point, have that modeled for us by a family member or support or someone that we looked up to. So can a toxic relationship be fixed? Can it be healed? Both people have to make a commitment in the now to work together in the now to grow together. It takes a lot of hard work on both parts. It requires a therapist, a third party to work with the couple to see this commitment through. Both people must be willing and motivated to do the work, and then there's a chance. The problem is you're kind of already stuck in these ruts where one person has repeatedly said, I'll work on it, I'll never do this again, I'm ready to blah, blah, blah. And so that's why it's really important to get a third party involved to keep both people kind of accountable to the commitment that they've made. And if your person isn't willing to do that, then it's time to just let it go. And I do mean let it go. You've got to be willing to have compassion for yourself and a willingness to reflect on your life and how you got to this point. If your relationship didn't leave you with a sense of trust and respect, then it did you no service. Rather than being uplifted in love, you became mired in emotional drama. If trust and respect are absent, the relationship devolves into a toxic misuse of your time. Your life becomes mired in your relationship. And you have ceased learning how to love yourself. A lack of self-love leads you to accept unhealthy love. Because it's one thing to say you want something, and another thing entirely to walk away from situations that don't offer what you say you want to you. And if you are strong in your sense of love for yourself, your sense of security, your sense of strength, then what's acceptable to you greatly changes. So there's some healing that needs to go on. You know, even if you say you want trust, that desire could be paired with a belief that you won't find such a relationship, so you settle for less. Even if you say that you deserve respect, you could still keep in touch with friends or lovers who disrespected you because you don't believe you can actually attain it. These are important self-realizations. It's important for you to understand what you believe about yourself, to look at the illusions that you have created because you've gotten less than what you said you wanted. And it's more important to look at past relationships that have left you feeling less than, to look at those relationships as good teachers for what you don't want. So building a deeper intrapersonal relationship with yourself enables you to learn how to provide for yourself emotionally. Because self-love isn't about indulgence. It's not about being selfish. This is an extremely important feeling to cultivate within yourself, because it protects you and it helps you find what you need. Cultivating it helps you see your worth as a human being. It helps you discover what you like and what you don't like, what you want and what you don't want, the things you stand for and the things you won't stand for. It gives you back your personal power. It gives you back your ability to set boundaries and to hold those firm. When you say yes and no to people, those words represent your inner truth, because your decision making no longer is rooted in poor self-esteem or in the possibility if you speak your truth you could lose someone. So you learn how to provide for yourself emotionally. And it allows you to be more discerning of who you allow in your life. Because once you have self-love, the difference is amazing. People who would have had free reign to stomp all over your life are now disregarded from the start. They aren't even allowed in the same playground. When you start walking away from relationships you know are bad for you, it strengthens your self-image. Your self-love increases when it's acted upon. You're no longer looking for someone to constantly validate you. You don't expect your life to be transformed by anyone other than yourself. Once you learn how to protect yourself, the noise is pushed out, and that leaves space in your life for you and the people who deserve your love. So finding yourself, soul searching the peaks and valleys of your life, and seeing those things as necessary parts of your growth. Having the ability to self-reflect means comfortable spending time with yourself, devoid of shame and judgment, to work on you, your insecurities, your strengths, your flaws, the valuable contributions that you have to offer to yourself and others. The ability to truly find happiness and love in yourself makes you more confident and self-assured in your love for others. Because we can only be good to others when we are good to ourselves. Remember, people treat you the way they see you treat yourself. More self-love will attract healthier relationship. A relationship is a partnership, not a codependent situation. Understand that you cannot hold other people responsible to make you feel loved and accepted. You can't pour from an empty cup. It has to come from within you. And there is an abundance of love within you. Happily ever after is possible, but it starts with you. When you fuel up on love for self, the types of people you attract, the quality of your relationships, and the way you contribute to those relationships sets both partners up for long-term success. You owe yourself the love you so freely give to others. And this may require you to cut cords and attachments to unhealthy people and unhealthy relationships. I'm doing a class on that on August 28th at a centered space. I will put a link to that in the comments section here. And I also have a few other videos that I think will be helpful for you. I will also put those in the comments section. So I hope that was helpful. I wish you love, I wish you light, and a beautiful day.